from the sayings of Ibn Taymiyyah regarding the Rāfiḍah or Shia, written by Dr. Nāṣir ibn Ghāzī al-Ruḥaylī. Translation by Muhammad al-Amrani. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. All praise is due to God, the sustainer of the worlds, and may blessings and peace be upon his servant and messenger, our Prophet Muhammad, and upon his family and companions altogether. To proceed. These are words I have carefully selected from the writings of Shaykh al-Islam, Ibn Taymiyyah, may God have mercy on him, that reveal something of the peril, the deviation and the absurdities of the Rāfiḍah. When the Sunni heart reflects upon them, it perceives the depth of the Rāfiḍah's misguidance and their grave distance from the truth. This realization only increases one in tenacity and love for the truth and its people, and in aversion and detestation for falsehood and its adherents, and that, verily, is among the strongest bonds of faith, as has been narrated in the tradition. The original gathering of these words was in the form of a series of messages sent through some social media platforms. I have now arranged them in this paper in the same sequence in which they were first transmitted. I have also left a space between each passage to make it easier for those who wish to copy and share any quote to do so whenever they wish. Moreover, I have assigned titles to some of the passages to facilitate understanding for the common folk, drawing their attention to the focal point of each quote. I advise the dissemination of these sayings among the people, especially among the general masses. I suggest publishing them as they are or with added similar quotes, and placing them within a booklet to be distributed among the Muslims. Whoever undertakes such a task should do so in pursuit of reward from God, and may attribute the compilation to whomever he pleases. And here are his words, may God have mercy on him. Shaykh al-Islam, may God's mercy be upon him, said, "Whosoever possesses even the least familiarity with the religion of Islam knows that the doctrine of the Rāfiḍah stands in stark contradiction to it. Hence, those heretical dissemblers whose intent was to corrupt Islam would command the public display of Shi'ism and enter through the gateways of the Shia to achieve their aims." Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 479. He also said, "The Rāfiḍah are a forsaken nation. They possess neither sound intellect nor authentic transmission, nor an accepted religion, nor a triumphant worldly state." Iqtida al-Sirat al-Mustaqim, page 353. And again he said, "The Rāfiḍī, the greater he grows in stature, the more hideous becomes his countenance and the more apparent his disgrace, until he comes to resemble the swine. Indeed, he may be transformed into a pig or a monkey, as such occurrences have been reported in widespread recurrent transmission." Al-Istiqamah, page 365. He further stated, "The condemnation of the Rāfiḍah in the speech of the early generations and the Imams is exceedingly abundant. The scholars are well aware that the origin of the innovation of rejection in Islam was sown by certain heretical hypocrites." Bayan Talbis al-Jahmiyyah, page 395. He remarked, "The fabrications of the Rāfiḍah are so egregious that even most rational disbelievers would find them intolerable." Da Ta'arud al-Aql wa al-Naql, page 72. The hypocrisy of many among the Rāfiḍah, Shaykh al-Islam said, "And for this reason you will find a multitude among the Rāfiḍah, the Ismailiyah and the Nusayriyyah, who in their inner circles confess to the corruption of their doctrine and speak openly of it with those they trust." Da Ta'arud al-Aql wa al-Naql, page 77. He also said concerning the Rāfiḍah, "They turn their enmity towards the most virtuous of the Ummah and pledge their loyalty to the enemies of God from among the Jews, the Christians and the idolaters. They reject truths that are manifest and mutawatir, mass transmitted, and instead uphold forgeries whose falsehood is self-evident. They are, as al-Shabi, one of the foremost experts on their condition, said, were they of the beasts, they would be donkeys, and were they birds, they would be vultures. Thus they are the most deceitful of people and the greatest fabricators." Majmu al-Fatawa, page 472. He further said, "The Rāfiḍah are the most ignorant of sects, the most deceitful, and the furthest from understanding both the transmitted knowledge and rational truth. They have made taqiyya, dissimulation, one of the foundational pillars of their religion, and they forge lies upon the al-Bayt in numbers that only God can enumerate, even to the extent that they narrate from Jafar al-Sadiq that he said, "Taqiyya is my religion and the religion of my forefathers." Taqiyya is in reality the emblem of hypocrisy, for at its core it is the utterance of what is not in the heart. And that is indeed the very essence of hypocrisy. And so, if this is among the pillars of their religion, then every report transmitted from Ali or others among the al-Bayt that aligns with the creed of al-Sunnah wa al-Jama'ah, they dismiss it as having been spoken under the guise of taqiyya. Thus they open the gates of hypocrisy wide for the Kamata, the Batiniyya philosophers of the Ismailiyya, the Nusayriya and their likes, claiming that even the messenger's words were spoken in this vein, that he outwardly professed what was contrary to his inner beliefs. Majmu al-Fatawa, page 264, he also said, "It is not permissible for anyone to give in marriage a woman under his guardianship to a Rāfiḍah, nor to one who abandons the prayer. If they marry him thinking he is Sunni, and he establishes the 5 prayers, but then it is revealed that he is a Rāfiḍah who does not pray, or he returns to rejection and abandons prayer, then the marriage must be annulled." Majmu al-Fatawa, page 61. He also declared about the Rāfiḍah, "Their collaboration with the Jews is a matter well known, to the extent that people have likened them to beasts of burden for the Jews." Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 21. He further stated, "And for this reason, among the Imams of jurisprudence, those to whom the Ummah turns, there is not a single Rāfiḍah, nor among the Imams of Hadith, nor among the exemplars of asceticism and worship, nor among the victorious and aided armies is there a Rāfiḍah, nor among the kings who upheld and defended Islam and strove against its enemies is there one who was a Rāfiḍah, nor among the viziers whose conduct has been deemed praiseworthy is there a Rāfiḍah." In most cases, the Rāfiḍah are to be found either among the heretical, hypocritical atheists, or among the ignorant, those who possess neither transmitted nor rational knowledge, having grown up in remote deserts and mountains, or having secluded themselves from the Muslims such that they did not sit in the company of the people of knowledge and religion, or among the people of vain desires who found in such beliefs leadership, wealth, or tribal partisanship, as in the ways of the pre-Islamic pagans. As for those whom the Muslims regard as people of knowledge and religion, among them you will not find a single Rāfiḍah, for the ignorance and injustice in their doctrine is manifest. The emergence of rejection is found among the worst sects, like the Nusayriya, the Ismailiyya, and the mystical atheists of certain Sufi orders. Among them is such falsehood, treachery, and betrayal of trust that bears witness to their hypocrisy. For as has been authentically reported in the 2 Sahihs from the Prophet, the signs of the hypocrite are 3. When he speaks, he lies. When he makes a promise, he breaks it, and when he is entrusted, he betrays the trust. And Muslim added, even if he fasts and prays and claims to be a Muslim. These 3 traits are most often found among the sects of the Qibla in the Rāfiḍah. Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 80, Shaykh al-Islam, may God have mercy upon him, said, "Indeed, among all the sects who claim allegiance to the Qibla, you shall not find a people more immersed in ignorance than the Rāfiḍah, nor more greedily bound to the fleeting vanities of this world. I have contemplated their ways, and found that every fault they ascribe to the noble companions, they themselves embody it to a far greater degree, while the companions are the furthest of mankind from it. They are, without a shadow of doubt, the greatest liars, akin to Musaylimah the liar, who once proclaimed, 'I am a truthful prophet, and Muhammad is a liar.' Thus do they describe themselves as the faithful, and the noble companions as hypocrites, yet they are the most hypocritical sect of all, while the companions are, by the grace of God, the most faithful of all creation." Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 87. Shaykh al-Islam, may God's mercy be upon him, said of the Rāfiḍah, "It is well known, both to the learned and to the commoner, that their loyalty lies with the Jews, the Christians, and the idolaters, and that they have aided them in fighting against the Muslims. So much so that it has been said, Never has there been a battle between a Jew and a Muslim, nor a Christian and a Muslim, nor a polytheist and a Muslim, except that the Rāfiḍah stood with the Jew, the Christian, or the polytheist. Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 452. He also said of them and their leaders, their scholars and authors among their own ranks are of various kinds. Many of them know full well that much of what they say is falsehood, yet they write and speak thus for the sake of maintaining their authority over their followers. Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 162. He continued, "Let us set aside what is heard and reported of those who have passed on. Let every person of sound reason reflect upon what transpires in his own time, and in the times near to his, of trials, calamities, and corruption within Islam, and he will find that the vast majority of it arises from the Rāfiḍah. Among all people they are the most prone to sowing discord and evil. They never sit idle when given the opportunity to ignite sedition, spread harm, or stir turmoil within the nation." Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 372, he said, "The Rāfiḍah have no endeavour except to demolish Islam, to unravel its bonds, and to subvert its foundations. The portion of Islam that remains among them exists only because the majority of Muslims have upheld it. Their recitation of the Quran is rare, and those among them who memorize it well have only learned it from the people of the Sunnah. The same is true of the Hadith. It is only known and transmitted truthfully through al-Sunnah. Likewise, jurisprudence, worship, asceticism, striving in God's path and combat, all of these are the domain of the armies of al-Sunnah. For it is through their scholars, their devout worshippers and their warriors that God has preserved his religion both in knowledge and in action. The Rāfiḍah are among the most ignorant of people regarding the religion of Islam. There is nothing in them that distinguishes them except that which brings joy to the enemies of Islam and sorrow to its allies. All their days in Islam are dark." Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 416. The disbelievers themselves know that the Rāfiḍah do not represent the Muslims. Shaykh al-Islam said, "Those sects who possess little knowledge of the message of the Prophet, when the Rāfiḍah say to them, 'We are Muslims,' reply, 'You are an entirely different kind of people.'" Minhaj al-Sunnah, page 414, of the follies of the Rāfiḍah. Shaykh al-Islam said, "As for their other absurdities, they are too numerous to be counted. Some of them refuse to drink from a river dug by Yazid, even though the Prophet and his companions drank from wells and rivers dug by disbelievers. Some refuse to eat from the Syrian mulberry, though it is well known that the Prophet and his companions consumed cheese and other goods imported from the lands of the unbelievers. They wore garments woven by non-Muslims. In fact, most of their clothing was crafted by them. Some among them detest even the utterance of the number 10, or doing anything in tens. Even in construction they avoid 10 columns or 10 beams, for they abhor the 10 companions who were given glad tidings of paradise. Yet it is clear that even if 10 of the most wicked people existed in the world, that does not warrant the abandonment of the number. Did not God the Exalted say, "Now there were in the city 9 persons who spread corruption in the land and would not reform"? Quran 27:48. Still, this did not necessitate the avoidance of the number 9. As for the number 10, God has praised what it signifies in many places, such as his words concerning the rites of Hajj. "And whoever cannot find an offering, then a fast of 3 days during the pilgrimage, and 7 when you return, that is 10 complete days." Quran 2:196, and his words, "And we appointed for Moses 30 nights, and completed them with 10, so the term of his sustainer was completed as 40 nights. Quran 7:142, and his words, "By the dawn and by the 10 nights. Quran 89:1-2. It is authentically reported that the Prophet used to seclude himself in itikaf during the last 10 nights of Ramadan until God took his soul. He said regarding Laylat al-Qadr, "Seek it in the last 10 nights." And in another authentic narration, the Prophet said, "There are no days in which righteous deeds are more beloved to God than these 10 days. And there are many such examples. Likewise, they boycott the names Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, and those who bear them, to the extent that they dislike interacting with anyone named thus. And yet, Even if these were the names of the worst of disbelievers, it would not be permissible to avoid them for that reason. Among the companions was one named Al-Walid, and the Prophet would supplicate for him in prayer, "O God, save Al-Walid ibn Al-Walid." His father, Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, was one of the staunchest disbelievers, and he's referred to in the verse, "Leave me to deal with the one whom I created alone." Quran 74:11. Among the companions was one named Ammar, and among the idolaters was Amr ibn Abdwud and Abu Jahl, whose name was Amr ibn Hisham. Among the early companions was Khalid ibn Sa'id ibn al-As, and among the idolaters was Khalid ibn Sufyan al-Hudhali. Among the companions was Hisham ibn Hakim, and the father of Abu Jahl was also named Hisham. Among them was Uqba, like Abu Mas'ud, Uqba ibn Amr al-Badri, and Uqba ibn Amir al-Juhani. Among the disbelievers was Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt. Among the companions were Ali and Uthman, and among the disbelievers was Ali ibn Umayyah ibn Khalaf, who was slain at Badr as a disbeliever, and Uthman ibn Abi Talha, who was killed before his conversion. Examples such as these abound. Neither the Prophet nor the believers ever harboured aversion to a name merely because it was once borne by a disbeliever. Yet despite all this, if a person among them is named Ali or Jafar or Hassan or Hussein, they honour and revere him, though such a name bears no indication of one's affiliation. The people of the Sunnah name their children with these names as well. Thus, bearing such names does not signify that one belongs to the Rāfiḍah, and likewise a Rāfiḍī may bear them, but it does not mean he follows the Sunnah. Truly, these people are engulfed in profound ignorance and governed by their whims. Then, may God have mercy on him, he spoke further and said, "Among the follies of these people is that they have assigned to the Awaited One multiple shrines where they believe he is to appear, such as the cellar in Samarra where they claim he vanished, and other such places. At these spots they even prepare an animal, a mule, a horse, or otherwise, that he might ride upon when he emerges. And at various times, be it at dawn and dusk or other hours, they station individuals to call upon him to come forth, crying aloud, 'O our Master, come forth! O our Master, come forth!' They brandish their weapons, though there is none to war against them. Among them are those who, at the time of prayer, refuse to offer their devotions, fearing that he might appear while they are praying, and thus they may be distracted from his service. These people reside in distant lands, far from where they claim his presence lies, such as the city of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Yet during the last 10 nights of Ramadan or otherwise, they turn toward the east, calling upon him in loud voices, beseeching his emergence. Yet it is known with certainty, if he were indeed present, and God had commanded him to arise, he would do so, whether they called upon him or not. And if he has not been permitted to arise, then he shall not heed their calls. And when he does emerge, God shall aid him, providing him with a mount, and with those who shall support and uphold him. He has no need for mortals to stand guard eternally, those whose striving in this life has led them astray, while they imagine themselves to be doing good. Indeed, God, exalted be he, has reproached in his book those who call upon that which cannot respond to their supplications. He said, "Such is God, your sustainer. His is the dominion, and those whom you invoke besides him do not own even the skin of a date stone. If you call upon them, they do not hear your call, and even if they could hear, they would not respond to you. And on the day of resurrection they will disavow your association with them. None can inform you like one who is all aware." Fatir 35, 13, 14. And this, despite the fact that the idols were physically present and sometimes devils would appear within them and speak to their worshippers. But the one who addresses the non-existent is in a state more pitiful than one who speaks to an inanimate object that does, at least, exist. Thus, whoever calls upon the Awaited One, who has not even been created by God, their misguidance is graver than that of those who invoke the idols. And should he say, "I believe he exists," his claim is akin to those who would say, "We believe these idols have intercession with God." Hence, they worship beside God that which neither benefits them nor harms them, saying, These are our intercessors with God. Among their follies is that they represent those whom they hate as inanimate objects or animals, then inflict upon those figures whatever punishments they deem fit for those they despise. For instance, they may take a ewe, often a red one, because Aisha was known as al-Humaira, the ruddy one, and they designate it as Aisha, plucking out its hair and tormenting it, imagining thereby that they are punishing her. Or they prepare a sack filled with fat, then slit its belly so that the fat spills forth, and they drink it, declaring, "This is like striking Umar and drinking his blood." Or they name two of their mill donkeys, one after Abu Bakr, the other after Umar, and then torment the donkeys, believing that thereby they are punishing Abu Bakr and Umar. At times they even inscribe those names on the soles of their feet. One of the governors once beat the feet of someone who had done this, saying, "I am beating Abu Bakr and Umar," and continued to strike until he had worn them away. Some of them name their dogs Abu Bakr and Umar and curse them. And some, if they name a dog and it is said to them, Bukaya, will strike the one who said it, saying, "Do you name my dog with the name of the people of hell?" Some among them revere Abu Lulu'ah, the Magian, the disbelieving slave of al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, because he killed Umar. And they cry out, "Vengeance for Abu Lulu'ah." Thus they exalt a Magian disbeliever by consensus of the Muslims, merely because he assassinated Umar, may God be pleased with him. Among their follies is the fabrication of shrines and sites they claim to be sanctified. How many lies have they told the people? How often have they alleged that in this or that spot lies a corpse from the family of the Prophet, perhaps even one martyred? Thereupon they construct a shrine, where it may be the grave of a disbeliever or of some unknown person, and signs abound to expose their deceit. And it is well known that tormenting animals named after such figures, or acts of similar kind, is naught but the doing of the most foolish and ignorant. For it is clear, were we to seek vengeance upon Pharaoh or Abu Lahab or Abu Jahl, or any of those whom the Muslims unanimously agree to be among the worst of disbelievers, through such acts of punishment it would be among the greatest of foolishness, for it yields no benefit. Indeed, if a disbeliever is lawfully slain or dies a natural death, it is not permissible to mutilate his corpse thereafter. One may not rip his belly, nor sever his nose or ears, nor cut off his hands, unless it be in strict legal retribution. Therefore, if these individuals were actually disbelievers and had already perished, it would not be permissible to mutilate their bodies, no striking, no belly-splitting, no hair-plucking, despite the fact that such acts would cause them harm. But to commit these acts upon others, imagining that the pain reaches the dead, is the height of ignorance. And what if the object of their wrath is something sacred, like a sheep, whose harm is forbidden without just cause? Thus they do that which brings them no benefit in this life or the next, but instead causes harm to both their religion and their worldly affairs, embodying thereby the utmost folly and ignorance. Among their follies is the establishment of mourning ceremonies and wailing rituals for one who was slain many years ago. Yet it is known that even if such acts were performed immediately after the death of the slain, they would be among those deeds prohibited by God and his messenger. For it is recorded in Al-Sahih from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, that he said, "He is not of us who strikes the cheeks, tears the garments, and calls with the calls of the age of ignorance." And these people engage in all of that, striking cheeks, tearing garments, invoking the cries of pagan times and myriad other abominations long after the death of the one they mourn. Were they to do such things immediately after his passing, it would be among the gravest of prohibited acts, so how much more objectionable is it after the passage of many years? And it is known that many have been slain unjustly, among them prophets and righteous men, whose rank surpasses that of Hussein. His father, Ali, was slain unjustly, and he was greater than Hussein. Uthman ibn Affan was slain, and his murder was the first of the great trials that unfolded after the death of the Prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him. The evil and corruption that followed from his killing was manifold, far exceeding that which followed from the martyrdom of Hussein. And others too were murdered, then died, and yet no one, neither among the Muslims nor the disbelievers, enacted such mourning rituals or lamentations years after their slaying, except these foolish ones. If they were among birds, they would be vultures. If among beasts, they would be donkeys. And among their absurdities is that some among them refused to burn wood from the Tafa tree, because it was said that the blood of Hussein fell upon one such tree. Yet it is known that the very tree itself is not to be disdained, even if it bore any blood, no matter whose blood it was. How then shall this apply to the rest of the trees, which did not even come into contact with that blood? Their follies are too numerous to recount, and do not require chains of transmission to validate. And may the blessings and peace of God be upon our Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and his companions.